physical training, self-defense training, firearms training, situational awareness, and the warrior mindset. Welcome to the Condition 1 podcast. This is a podcast where we'll be talking about Welcome to the Condition 1 podcast. This is a podcast where we'll be talking about being ready. We'll also be speaking to victim survivors of physical encounters, how they dealt with the aftermath, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Okay, welcome to the Condition 1 podcast with your host. That's me, John Riddle, and we have a special day or special hour or so segment on Q&A. We had some people write in, and they've had some questions. So we took about 6 or 7 of them, Mario?
Yeah, it's about 7 questions.
And I did not get a chance to see them, but Mario did, and we're gonna
make this a little candid.
Shoot from the hip.
And basically see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, so this first question I have, I think it's Mike. Mike, he is asking, so you always ask your interviewees, how do you start your day? So, well, John, how do you start your day?
Oh. Well, from interviewing people, as long as I've been a short period of time, I've been doing podcasts and listening to podcasts. I'm pretty much following the same line as other people. I always, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up early. I get up about 4:30, and say a couple of prayers. Say a couple of prayers before I even get out of bed, giving thanks to making it through the night and having the energy to get ready for the day. And then I get up and I go out and I put the coffee on, and I also do a little bit of a meditation prayer type thing before I have my coffee. Then I shoot 2 cups of coffee down, and I'm out the door for a workout.
Nice.
I work out probably, anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, 20 minutes, depends on what I'm doing.
Just every day?
That day? Every day.
Every day.
7 days a week.
Wow.
That's
no days off.
It's got to be habitual. It's I have days off. I go by how my body feels. I'm 62 years old, so it's a thing where I'm not 22 anymore. So, I'm going to get aches and pains, muscle pulls and stuff. But I try to warm up thoroughly and hit it hard. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I just have the luxury of owning a gym, so I can come here that early in the morning, open up. There's no one here. I can turn the music on and get after it, get it done. After that is done, I go home. I'll eat my breakfast. I'll feed my dogs. My wife is here. She's running fitness classes. And then I'm answering emails and either teaching private lessons throughout the day, traveling to teach private lesson, and then getting ready for classes at night.
Nice.
So my day runs probably from the time my feet hit the floor at 4:30. I'm in bed by 11, a little after 11.
Wow.
A lot of coffee.
That's a day. All right, so we got another question here. This kind of a long question, a little controversial. Let's see how you take it. It says, you always try to portray the notion that there is no one ultimate martial art. But on your show, it seems like you favor your style, where you came from, and basically what makes your style better than everybody else's.
Okay. Read that first part again.
You always try to portray the notion that there is no one ultimate martial art. But on your show, it seems like you favor your style. Okay.
I'm a firm believer that there is no one art that does it all. And people may disagree with that. That's their choice. I don't favor a particular style. I mean, from what I teach, I teach stand-up boxing, situational awareness. Okay, let's do it in order. Being aware of my surroundings. If I have to go hands-on, and I study videos, I want to box. Everything that we stand up doing usually goes to the ground. So I train in jiu-jitsu and I translate that into what I teach. Weapons. I'm a firearms guy. I've been a firearms guy for probably pushing 40 years now, between my military, teaching in the military and also teaching in law enforcement. I was a law enforcement officer for 28 years. So the firearm is a big thing with me also. So I'm a big proponent of being well-rounded. Okay. What happens in the martial arts, and I've seen it firsthand, is ego. And ego can be a killer, right? And
Check your ego at the door.
absolutely, So, I think it all depends on how you enter into what you're going to learn. You got to think about, if you're a new student, you got to look at, what do I want to learn? Why do I want to learn it? And does it fit those two questions that I just asked? Why do I want to learn it? What am I going to use it for? Or
What's my goal?
What am I going to? Yeah, what's my
why
goal?
am I here?
Exactly. So, I just don't believe that there's one set thing. I've trained with many people in different aspects of whether it be combatives, martial arts, and martial arts, breaking it down into karate, jiu-jitsu, okay, things in that area. So, I mean, it's I believe, and I will always believe, that you have to be well-rounded.
That's fair. That's a good answer.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Next one's easy. How long have you been training in all the aspects of self-defense that you teach, and under whom?
Well, let's start back into my military. Okay, I was an Air Force guy, and I was in combat arms. So combat arms training. I was a trainer. I was an instructor. I was a firearms instructor, basically,
In the military.
in the military, in the Air Force. That is where I got my first taste of being up in front of people and speaking. They taught us the weapons we had to learn. I would take them apart, put them back together again, how to shoot them. We had a shoot expert. We had to take written tests on it. And that was great. And then we had to go into learning how to teach, right? So in learning how to teach, there were impromptu speeches we had to do. The instructors picked a subject for us, all right? We had to
Get up on stage, basically.
Okay. So my first time I ever stood up in front of anybody and talked, they passed a hat around. And in the hat was pieces of paper folded up, and you had to pick one, and that was your topic.
Wow.
And you had about 5 minutes to put something together. And we were in front of about 30 of our peers. And I'll never forget it. My topic was farts, gas of the future. And I had 5 minutes to talk about that.
That's great.
So it was, we talk about getting thrown to the wolves right away. Yeah.
That was definitely it.
But it was a great experience learning that way and being able to get up there. And we started with a 5-minute impromptu up to, I had to teach how to take a M60 machine gun apart and put it back together again, teach the theory of it, and how, the operational parts of it. And that prepared me for when I went out into the world of the Air Force and teaching people that had to need, to know that. So it groomed me for actually my next step when I went into law enforcement. So when I went into law enforcement, I was a street cop for 28 years, street cop and a SWAT guy for 16 years. So when I had the opportunity, I jumped into the training division, and they also sent me away to school to learn how to teach. right? So I've got two different avenues of learning how to teach people different things. So my background is pretty heavy in that. And then in the martial arts, combatives, when I would seek out instructors, I would take a little bit about from them on how they taught. Okay. Who did I train? Who did I train with? I started training in the martial arts when I was about 16 up in Pennsylvania in Taekwondo. All right. So usually that's where a lot of people start, right? In Taekwondo.
Karate, Taekwondo. Yep.
Yeah. It's been so long. Rick Wise was my black belt instructor's name out of Philadelphia. And then when I moved to Florida, went into the military, and then into law enforcement. Almost right out of the military, I went into law enforcement, and I started training with Terry Giles. And Terry, I trained with him for probably 10 years, and got my first degree black belt in Hongdo.
He was on one of your podcasts.
He was on one of the recent podcasts, right? So I trained with him for a number of years.
Check that out.
Yeah, we can check out Terry's podcast with me. He's a very interesting cat, and I'm looking to get him back on. Okay.
Nice.
So from there, I branched out into looking at, jiu-jitsu. I got my purple belt in jiu-jitsu with Team Nogueira with Wald Blois. So I'm getting ready. Actually, COVID is kind of done. So I start back Monday with Wald, doing private lessons with him. So I'm looking forward to that and getting back on the mat.
Some big names.
Yeah. I trained with Paul Vunak for a short period of time, back and forth to California with Jeet Kune Do. Picked up a lot of good things from that. All right. And then from there, I kickboxed a little bit, boxing with Bill Superfoot Wallace. A big name that stands out in my head all the time that has helped me look at the real reality-based stuff is Kelly McCann. Kelly's out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. He ran a school up there called the Crucible, and then he had the civilian training program up there where the Crucible was mainly for military and like the three-lettered agencies, and he would train them. His own background, he was a Marine Corps Special Missions officer. So he turned around and he opened up the Civilian Training Center where everyday guys could go and learn combatives, right?
Military style.
Yeah. Slightly, yeah. But Kelly had his own thing on it, and it's some real world stuff, man. And that he would bring the reality into it. My background in law enforcement, for 28 years of doing what I've done and seeing what I've seen, I bring that in to my area when I teach here at my school. So I take a little bit from everybody that I've trained with, and I put it in a big ball, and I throw my stuff in there from my background, and that's where, I came up with what I'm teaching. I Krav Maga, okay, Nir Maman. All right, Nir was on my podcast. All right, he was a special operations guy in the Israeli military. He ran the Krav Maga training section for the Israeli IDF and Special Forces. So I've trained under him. Moni Isaac in Commando Krav Maga, I've trained with him in Krav Maga. So I also throw that into the mix. Am I 100% Krav Maga? No, I'm a hybrid. I am a hybrid school. Okay, so when people step in here, I explain to them that they're going to get
a
mix, but they're going to get a very thorough mix of self-defense. And everything that I teach them is coming from my other instructors and my own background. And knowing what goes on out on the street, I want to try to prevent people from becoming victims.
Nice. Well, we're going to go back to that. I actually got a good question for you coming up. Well, next question. How long have you been teaching at Riddle Defense?
Riddle Defense, we've been open here.
That's a local, by the way. That's a local question. So.
Okay, yeah. We've been here for about 12 years in Boca Raton. We recently changed the name, probably, I don't know, I'm going to jump off and say about 2 years ago,
Okay.
to Riddle Defense. We used to be Progressive Self-Defense Systems, and then influenced by Progressive Fighting Systems with Paul Vunak. When I broke away from them, I changed the name and went out on my own.
Nice, nice. Next one is a little bit about the military again. How has the military influenced your style of teaching?
Well, anybody that's been in the military understands discipline, okay, and attention to detail. So when I teach, first off, when I do a curriculum, all right, I have to have that attention to detail. Like I said, I bring different things in. So when I do this, it's just I pick a topic and I'll write on it, and I'll put some things together on it, and then I'll pick another topic and I'll do the same, and I just keep going, and I build my curriculum that way. So I'm very detail oriented. The discipline of it, of training, me training, okay, and then being able to train my students. And my students, we have to have, I put it across to them that we have to have discipline. You have to be disciplined enough to come here a couple times a week. And then when you train, we train hard. And going back to one of my instructors, it was, leave it all on the mat. Yeah. You're only here for a short period of time, leave it all on the mat. Then you go home, you feel better about yourself, you learn some things. So the discipline and the attention to detail is what I bring in. And I also want my students to be the same way as they progress with me.
Excellent. What is your go-to firearm, and also what is your go-to knife, and why?
My go-to firearm is a Glock 19.
Why
I've
is
been a Glock guy for a long time, and it's
Is it the law enforcement?
people. It could be, yeah. When I first started in law enforcement, again, I'm 62. When I first started in law enforcement, we had revolvers, right? I was issued a revolver and a horse, but it was we had revolvers, and then as time went by, we were allowed to purchase our own semi-automatic handgun. It had to be on the 9mm.
You had to purchase it.
Yeah, we bought our own.
Wow.
So my first handgun in semi-automatic handgun
Budgets.
in law enforcement was a Beretta 92F.
Okay.
And I was familiar with that because that's what we used back when I was in the Air Force teaching. So I had to purchase that. They gave us the training. We purchased our own handguns. But what happened was we had a different, at that time, probably 200 and some odd guys on the police in the agency. We had a mismatch of handguns, right? And this guy would be shooting a SIG, I'd be shooting a Beretta, this guy would have this, the other guy would have that. We got a new chief out of the city of Miami, and at that time, Miami was carrying Glocks. And when he came into power with us, he says, no, he says, you guys, you're all going to Glocks. And it made sense because if, the shit hit the fan and one of us was out of ammunition, we can at least transfer ammunition back and forth to each other, where in the other way, we couldn't, right?
Did you have to purchase the Glocks?
No. When they came in, they told us, they ordered us that we were going to have Glocks. The city bought Glocks straight across the board for everybody.
Nice,
they trained us in them. And then for a number of years, we were Glocks 17s, model 17s. We then went to Smith & Wesson M&Ps, and we bumped up to the 40 caliber. And now that I'm retired, when I retired, they gave me my Smith & Wesson 40 caliber, so I still have that. What they're carrying now, I'm not sure. I think they may have gone back to the Glocks, but I'm not sure. I haven't been in contact with anybody. But the Glock 19 I like carrying. The reason why, it's a little smaller for me. I carry appendix carry, so I keep it there, and it's more comfortable for me than the Smith and Wesson. Okay, the smaller handguns, the shields, those I have a hard time gripping those. Okay, so I like something that's going to mold to my hand.
Low forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the knife. I'm not a big knife guy, but I do carry a blade. I carry a folder on my pocket, on my strong side, and then every once in a while I'll carry the sock P dagger in my waistband.
Nice. Strong side, both.
Yes.
Okay. All right. This next question came from Instagram. So it says, I think most, not all, martial artists don't really have much experience with real violence. And as a consequence, they tend to overestimate what their skills can and cannot do for them, and how they will react in a reality-based situation. Do you believe that you have spent enough time training and have had enough real-world experience with violence specifically to be able to teach your students how to defend against these worst-case scenarios?
Okay.
Kind of a loaded question there.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's violence. I mean, what is violence? I mean, people. If you're a military guy and you're in a war, you see violence, right? If you're a street cop and you're working bad sections of town, you got a chance to see some violence, right? People see violence on TV, so we gotta break that down and find out what type of violence are we talking about here, right? So as far as me, okay, my law enforcement background, I've seen some violence, okay, and I've seen some bad things happen to good people, right? And being a SWAT guy, we've been in the mix of stopping people from doing violence to others, right? So everything and like I said in that other question, everything I've done in this school is brought onto the mat because of what I've seen and what I've done. So how much violence can you take? I mean, I'm retired now, so I try not to see too much more violence, right. So that doesn't make me any less of an instructor, all right, because of what I teach. But compared to a guy or a gal who gets a black belt and has never seen anything,
right.
Okay, I think the people who have actually used what they teach and have a reason why they teach it, okay, as to, okay, I've seen a lot of violence, I don't want this happening to people. And that was my motivation when I was getting ready to retire. 5 years out, I said, there's a lot of shit happening in this world, right? And I've seen some bad things. And I'm getting ready to retire. I love my job. I'm getting ready to retire. How can I continue trying to protect people that want to be protected? So that's why, and I've been in the arts or combatives, whatever you want to call it, for years. And that's why I decided I'm going to continue this, even though I put the badge away, right? And I want to teach people how to be aware, how to be safe, and and when push comes to shove, how to defend themselves. Yeah. So I think that person who can do that and has that background because of what they've seen and what they've done has a level that's higher than the instructor that has never done that, okay, or has never seen that, has just got their black belt, was promoted, and now they're given the blessing, you can open up your own school, right. And they're teaching from a curriculum, all right? I'm a firm believer, and I'm going to cut this off here in a minute because I can ramble on this for a long time, that when you're teaching something, if you have something to reference it to that you've been through, it's going to make more sense to other people.
It's going to hit home. I think you hit the nail on the head with there's a big difference between competition and instructors that get their big names from that competition, sure. And then they're teaching. They're great competitors, but have they seen? Right,
and hey, and I'm not taking anything away from them because some of them are badasses,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take anything away from that. That's not my place. But it's just that I think that there's a different view, there's a different avenue that that comes to that branch, it branches off, you know, and if you have something you can add to what you're teaching and why you're teaching it,
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll make more sense to people.
That's good. That's good. That is all the questions we got for today.
Okay, I think this was good. I think you know, if
Yeah.
people keep sending these in, you know, it's just an honest opinion from me. I mean, I can, you know, go on some things more than others. Some topics I stay away from, only because of, number one, it's really controversial, and I'm not going to step out there, or I'm just not educated in that area, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the questions that come in. If I can give you a honest answer to what you're looking for, you know, I'll be happy to chime in with you.
Yeah, I think our viewers, your viewers, will appreciate that. So, if you have any more questions, you know, send your comments through Instagram. Send your comments. You can comment below on the video. You can reach John at.
Yeah, you can reach me at you can directly to me to John at riddledefense.com. You can drop him at info@riddledefense.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can shoot me a DM. I'm on Facebook at Riddle Defense. I'm on Instagram at Riddle Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm wide open, guys, gals. I'm wide open to your questions.
Perfect. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.